Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today is day 4 of the 30-day low-fat vegan weight loss challenge, and I hope you have been enjoying it so far. I know a lot of you have been sharing with me some of the challenges that you've been having, and I think it's cool to see you interacting with each other and giving some tips and advice to each other in the comment section. So keep that up, and I'll do my best to respond to all of your comments and questions as well. And in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you 3 tips that are things that I put into practice that have enabled me to stick with this way of eating for so many years, and that help to get me back on track when I do feel like I'm veering too much toward the junk vegan foods. And then at the end of the video, I'm going to share with you what I had for lunch, because I know many of you have been giving me the feedback that you like to see the food in the videos, not just talking. So I'm going to try to do a little bit of both. And I'm going to be looking at my laptop over here, so if you see me looking to the side, hopefully it's not too distracting. So my first tip is to, and this is just something that I do, you don't have to do it, but it's something that has worked for me, is to have a kitchen closed time. So it's a time of the night that you just decide, okay, I've had my last meal, maybe I've had a dessert or a snack or some fruit, now I'm full and that's it for the night. So no going back into the pantry, fridge, or freezer looking for treats later on. And the reason that this works for me, I've identified, is that I'm really not someone who does well with wishy-washy rules. Like, I need clear rules established, and then I can have something to go on, if that makes sense. So if you tell me, okay, we're eating this and we're not eating that, it makes it so much easier than like, once in a while I'll have this and once in a while I'll have that. So it just goes back to the moderation conversation, where some people are good at doing moderation and they can have half a cookie and put it down, but I've just identified that when it comes to my personality, that is not something that is innately part of who I am. I'm very much an all or nothing personality type, and knowing this allows me to kind of structure my life in a way that makes it easier for me to attain my goals. So a big one is just saying yes to certain things and no to other things. So having a kitchen close time, for me, it's quite early. I try to go to bed early because I get woken up by my little ones very early. So I go to bed quite early, and my kitchen close time is usually around 5 o'clock. So yes, there's the exception if I'm going to someone's birthday party or something like that. But I try to have that as my rule when I'm at home. And you can feel free to share with me in the comment section, have you ever tried this before? Is this something that you practice at home? Some people do it the other way around, where they don't eat in the morning until noon because they're not hungry yet, and so they just kind of put that rule into place. And this is good for people who find that otherwise they would just be snacking throughout the day even when they're not hungry. And I find that it's really important for me to go to bed early, or else if I stay awake past a certain point, then I start feeling that snackish kind of tendency, and it's like, well, what can I get into? And having that kitchen close time is really important. Now, this is going to lead into tip number 2, which is don't go too low calorie density. So this is really important, because if you are eating meals that are just all leafy greens and a little bit of rice and maybe a few little beans, and it's not really filling you up, then that's really going to lead you to be hungry later, and it's going to be hard to follow that kitchen closed rule because you're going to still be hungry late at night. So for me, I really make sure that I have beans in my meals. Usually at least twice a day I'll have beans in my meals, sometimes 3. But and also, because I'm not currently trying to lose any weight, I'm already at my ideal weight, I actually include tofu once in a while, and avocado, and occasionally like walnuts or something like that, that are not addictive to me. Like, that's not something that will set off cravings for me. I won't have like salted peanuts or anything like that. But so sometimes I will add in a few higher calorie density foods, a few higher fat vegan foods, and that actually helps to just make me feel more satiated. But definitely the beans, because a lot of times, especially when you're first starting out eating this way, you think like you're doing a better job if you stay super low calorie density and just have like salads with, a few pieces of fruit or whatever. But it's just all food that is like 100 to 200 calories per pound. And eventually that is going to lead you to just reaching for the most fattening thing that you can find because your body's hungry. So it's really important to kind of find that sweet spot where, yes, you're eating whole natural plant foods, low calorie density, but you're also not taking it too far to the extreme where you're still hungry. So beans for me are an integral part of satiation, and I make sure that I kind of abide by that. All right, my next one is number 3 is, I swapped number 2 and 3. So I missed fresh fruit, especially apples. I know this sounds like strange, like how are apples going to stop you from wanting junk food? There's like a magic power in them. I don't know what it is, but for me, like, okay, I'll give you an example. Maybe you can relate to this. For me, my junk food of choice, or like the food that is hard for me to moderate, where it just sets me off wanting more and more and more, is crackers and sometimes cookies, but crackers and cereal. All the like starchy, dried foods are like really addictive for me. So I can eat a pack of crackers like that without even setting it down. I can, and dip as well. And then same with cereal. I will eat cereal out of a salad bowl, and I can eat the whole thing and then still feel like I can still snack on other things after. Whereas if I have an apple, or say I have 2 apples, I'll reach a point where I'm like, I can't eat any more apple. Like, I'm not hungry anymore. And it's so funny how foods in nature, like your body can regulate natural foods that it was meant to eat, and you just reach a point where like, I don't want anymore. Like, and so I can just set it down, and I'm not like, oh no, what else can I eat? I just feel full and satiated. And with junky foods or highly processed foods, even if I eat tons, I can still feel like, well, now what else is next? And I think a big part of this is because the water has been removed from those dry starches, and there's still kind of room in your stomach to fit them in. Whereas if you're eating something like an apple or watermelon, things that are full of water and fiber, you are literally stretching out your stomach and you're full. So you get to a point where like, I can't have any more apple. And so I've shared this before. I have like an apple trick where if I'm like, I really want cupcakes, I really want cookies, or whatever it is, I'll tell myself, okay, I'll give myself a cupcake, but first I have to eat an entire apple first. So I'll wash it, I'll start chewing on the apple, and by the time I'm finished that apple, literally 9 times out of 10, the craving's gone for the junk. Or if I were to eat any cookies or anything like that, I just feel quite full. I don't feel that same like intense desire for it that I had before. So it just like, I don't know. For me, it's apples. Maybe for you, it's something else, and experiment with it. But I find fruit works very well because you are still getting a big hit of sugar. But the sugar comes in the form of something wrapped in fiber, so it's not bad for you, and it's not being as rapidly absorbed into your bloodstream as if you were to drink like soda or something like that. So hopefully this makes sense for you. I just thought I would give some personal life examples. Maybe you can relate. I'm sure you've got your own. And that's why it's just kind of important, not necessarily to copy my 3 rules. Maybe they'll be helpful for you, but maybe just take some time to identify and experiment with what would work for you. It's really nice to have go-to tricks for when you are overwhelmed and stressed. So, I mean, they're not necessarily tricks, but they're just something to keep in mind when you're overwhelmed, or maybe you feel like I'm really veering off. It's been 3 days in a row and I've had chips all 3 days and I really want to get back with my healthy meals. What do I do? Having your own thing that you know, hey, this works for me every single time I do it, so I'm going to reach for that. That can be really, really helpful. And I'm also going to share with you what I had for lunch, so I'm going to show you that now. But hopefully you find these videos helpful, and I'll see you next time.